everyone, welcome back. Let's get crafting. I'm so excited to be doing these crafts for you guys today. So for the first one, we're going to need a placemat. I picked this up from the Dollar General, but the Dollar Tree does also have placemats as well. And you're going to want to use, I was thinking about using this plate, but it's not big enough. The circle's not big enough for the wreath that is on this placemat. So you will need the Dollar Tree's pizza pan. That works perfectly fine. And I have been seeing a lot of these actually out on like Facebook Marketplace for like $12 a pop. So before you go and spend $12, you can make one for like $4. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that in this DIY. So once you get all of your items together, then you want to go ahead and trace around your pizza pan so that you know exactly how big, basically how big you're going to need to cut out your placemat. So I put it on there. I just draw a circle to make sure that I have it centered before I start cutting it down and placing it onto my pie pan. So I got it cut down to the size of the outer part of the pie pan, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to hot glue the placemat to just the center part of the pie pan, and then I can take my X-Acto knife and actually just cut around the outer portion of that placemat so that it is just in the center of my pie pan. And I got this new glue gun and it's really I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, so I do opt to go back into my actual like larger size glue gun, but just putting it all out there. I was having some struggling. Um so again, gluing this down, and then I'm going to go in and trim up the edges with an X-Acto knife. And then I'll show you how we're going to cover up that rough edge also. So once you get it all cut out, then what you're going to want to do is take some rope from the Dollar Tree. So they had two different sizes of nautical rope. This Dollar Tree is not, or the rope is not from one of my local Dollar Trees. I actually had to drive a little bit to go get this. So, but anyways, the Dollar Tree does have like the brown rope that they have all of the time. So you could always use that if you want to go more with a rustic theme. I figured I had plenty of this rope on hand, so I wanted to give it a try because I haven't used it yet. So there's two different sizes. I opted to go with the bigger size of the rope, and we're just going to glue that around the edge of the pan. That's going to go ahead and cover up that cutted edge that we did with the placemat, and it's going to give it a nice clean finish. But before I do that, I decided to go ahead and paint the outer rim of my pizza pan. I didn't like the silver look with such a rustic center, so I'm just taking some of this white plaster color chalk paint by Waverly and using a Dollar Tree's beauty blender, and I am just dabbing it on. I'm not swiping it on, I'm dabbing it on just to get a nice thicker coat, and then we can go ahead and put the rope on after it dries. So once the paint is dry, then I'm taking that nautical rope and I'm gluing it to the side of the pan, not to the very bottom where the placemat is, to the side. So this way here it sits where I want it to, and it's going to cover up the edge of the pan, but then also cover up that rough cut edge of the placemat being centered there. Again, you guys can use just the brown rope that they have at the Dollar Tree, or if you can find this nautical rope, it is the thicker rope. I think this was 6 foot versus the thinner nautical rope is like 11 feet. So just keep that in mind. This thickness covered up a lot. I mean, it covered up the whole silver part of the pan. So you could also, if you don't want to worry about this, paint your pan first. For me, it was an afterthought, but paint your pan first and then go ahead and do your rope. Okay, so I'm making a bow out of some Dollar Tree's burlap ribbon that has like this lace to it. So I'm doing a 2-tiered bow. So the middle section is going to be smaller, and then I have an outer section that's just a little bit longer. So all I do is create a loop, glue the centers together, and then put them on top of each other. And then with a little piece of twine, you can even use, oh my goodness, what are those plastic things called? I can't think of them. Wire ties. You could use a wire tie as well, so that you can get a nice tight grip. And then just taking another piece of the ribbon, I make the tails out of it. And that's the easiest part of doing one of these bows. For optional, I went ahead and put just a center cover to it. You don't have to. You could have just left it with the twine kind of showing through, more of a rustic feel. I just put the center on there because I had some extra of the ribbon. Now that the ribbon is completely dried of the hot glue that I put on it, I'm just sticking that to cover up where the 2 pieces of my rope meet on the front. And I think it's cute. You can do something else if you don't want a big ribbon. You could always do a smaller ribbon. This is what I chose to do. And then I'm taking some of Dollar Tree's brown rope. I untwisted it so that I could have a thinner piece, and that's going to be my hanger on the back. So I'm going to put some hot glue, and then I'm going to take one of the large tongue depressors or craft sticks, whatever you guys, popsicle sticks, whatever you call them. I'm going to cut it down, and I'm going to press that over top of the hot glue. So then this way here, it gives it a nice strong hold, and that piece of rope isn't going to pull out of that hot glue once everything is dry and set up. So I like doing this. It makes sure that everything is secured on the back and nothing can lift up and move away. So, but let me know what you guys think about this project in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And then also, if you do choose to recreate any of these, please go ahead and share a picture with me over on my Instagram account. My information is linked in the About Me section on my page. And I'd love to see pictures if you guys do recreate something. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you in the next DIY. Project number 2. Okay, so for the second project, I'm taking another one of these placemats that I found at Dollar General. I was in love with this one. It says family makes a house a home. And then I'm also taking one of Dollar Tree's foam boards. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the box and the floral. Now this is kind of crazy, but feel me out on this because it turns out amazing. You would think it would take a long time to do this, but literally it took about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to fully cut out everything and all the details up in the floral section. So I'm going to go ahead and just use regular scissors to cut out the main part and as much of the flower pieces as I can. And then I go back in with my X-Acto knife to get into those really kind of like intricate cuts that are going to be up in the top portion where the floral is. But for the most part, if something is too small, for me to cut out, I just I didn't cut it out. I just kind of cut it off. And it worked out in my favor. I think it looks really, I don't know, it looks really beautiful. I'm really, really happy with this piece. So, if you do recreate this, definitely let me know how you guys made out. Um, it didn't take too much patience. I don't have a lot of patience to do stuff. So, the simpler the better. And, I don't know what it was about this, but I saw this and this was exactly what I wanted to do with it when I seen it at Dollar General. So after I cut everything out, then we will go ahead and work on the poster board because that is going to be the frame. I'm going to frame this piece. And I couldn't find any frames in like the Dollar Tree or Dollar General, really in Dollar Tree, that would fit this because it was so long and so tall. I think this measures like 17 by 10 inches. So it is quite a bigger piece, but it turns out beautifully in the end. Once everything is completely cut out to your liking, if you do recreate this, then what I do is I put it on the poster board, I mark out my measurements. So for the ruler that I'm using, I'm actually using one of the quilter squares. It's like this long, clear roller. I love this thing. It's amazing. um, and I'm basically just figuring out how big of the piece of poster board I'm going to need. And, and then I just take my X-Acto knife and cut it down to size. So this was the easiest thing I could think of to make a frame out of so that it was light, it wasn't too big and bulky, and it would look really, really pretty as well. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Would you have used poster board as well? Would you have done something differently? I'd love to hear from you if you leave your comments down below. Once the poster board is all cut out, then I'm going to be using 3 colors by Waverly. So I've got plaster, I've got steel, and elephant, and I'm going to put a base coat on here with the plaster color, and then I'm going to go in with the elephant because it's just that darker gray, and we're going to put lines in it so it kind of looks like shiplap almost, and then I go in with the lighter color, which is steel, and that's going to be my distressor. So as normal with anything that I paint, once I go ahead and put that base coat down before it completely dries, I go in with my darker color, put my lines in, and then go back over it with a different brush just to blend it all in so it's not such like rough lines, and I don't have to go in and sand anything. I think it's a lot less time consuming. But as you can see, I am just freehanding these. I'm not trying to be perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. I do want it to be more farmhouse, like shabby chic kind of a thing going on. So let me know what you guys think. Would you have measured it out and drew your lines precisely? Like what would you have done? Because I love to hear those comments. But again, just taking a brush. Now, these brushes, or this particular brush, I don't know what you would call it, like a chip brush. I got these from Dollar General. They were 2 for $1, and I love them. So I've bought a couple of them. They work great for distressing and just kind of lightly applying paint in different spots so that it looks either like it's chipped and things like that. So I love doing that with that particular brush. And then for the steel color, as you can see, I am just putting random dots places because when I go over it with that chip brush, it blends it all in and it makes it like, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's easy to do it this way. So try it out and let me know in the comments below how you guys made out with it. Do you prefer doing this method that I show you here? But the next thing that I choose to do is take some of Dollar Tree's Jingle Blocks, and you're going to need, for the size of the poster board that I cut out, I had to do 2 lines of 6 and 2 lines of 9. So I'm taking the Antique Wax by Waverly and using that as my stain. Again, I'm just taking a beauty blender from the Dollar Tree and just doing the top and the 2 sides. And once that is all done and they're kind of dry, then I go in and I glue them. So I'm just using this square to make sure that I am hot gluing everything in a straight line. I don't want anything to be crooked. And you can get these squares also from the Dollar Tree too. So if you need one, there you go. But this is going to be the frame that's going to be going around the poster board just to make it look a little bit more finished. So now that all of my blocks are glued together, I'm now going to attach them to our frame. So taking a small amount of hot glue across the back of the lines of blocks, and I glue them to the outer edge of the frame so there is a piece that overlaps on the outside so that you don't see the foam board as much. It kind of hides it. So the 9s go on the top and bottom, and then of course your shorter sides go on, or the 6 go on each side of the poster board or foam board. Once it's all glued down into place, then it's time to go ahead and add in our centerpiece. So I didn't want it to be flat. I wanted it to have more of a 3-dimensional field. So I'm taking some more of these Jenga blocks and I'm just gluing them to the back of the placemat so that it pops off of the back of the poster board. This is optional. You could just go ahead and glue it directly down onto the poster board. I like the whole 3-dimensional thing, and since I took all that time to cut out all of those flowers, I really wanted those to stand out. So the other thing is I did some twine bows on the corners, which for some reason my camera stopped recording. So you will see me putting them on each of the bottom corners, but you don't get to see how I make them. Literally all I did was just wrap them around my pointer finger to my pinky, wrap the twine around my fingers several times to create a bow, and then just tied it with some twine. So I did it on both corners just because these corners didn't really meet up all the way. I don't know what happened there. When I measured everything out, like it all fit nice and snug. So I don't know what I did, but maybe I cut the poster board a little bit too big. I'm not really sure, but that's what I did just to help cover that section up so that you really don't see it. And the little like twine bows, I really like these. I think they're super cute and kind of whimsical. So I kind of think it really fit this whole picture. And then the same thing I did for the back of this for a hanger. I took some of the twine and put it down, and then took one of those large tongue depressors, cut it down to hold my twine in place. Project number 3. For this third project, I've never made a lantern on here, so I figured this would be the perfect time. So I'm taking 4 of these frames that I got from the Dollar Tree. I thought that they were perfect. They are really pretty. They have wood tone to them, and I like the little metal paper piece where you can put like something in there to label it. I loved that accent piece. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to hot glue all of these together. Now I will say coming up you'll see that I go in and I paint them. Yeah, I really wish I would have painted them first. It would have been a lot easier, but it turns out okay in the end. So I'm again just hot gluing all of these together. Be careful too when you're running your hot glue bead down the back for extra support that you don't accidentally glue the backing of the picture frame in. like I did here. Because then you won't be able to get the darn thing out. I did get it out though, so it did work out. But once you glue them all together, then I'm gonna go in and take the inserts out, which also in this step, don't do what I did. Take your inserts out. I'm also taking a piece of wood from the Dollar Tree. They had these square pieces of plank, and it fit perfectly on the bottom of this just to give the lantern a bottom so that I could go ahead and put a candle in it, or whatever I wanted to in it once I was done. You could also add feet to this. I did not on this project. I do have some, but I just chose not to, and yeah. So, moving on. For the glass, I wanted the glass not to be so see-through, and I'm going to be using a stencil. So, what you can do to kind of give the glass kind of like a frosted look, but it's more see-through than frosted, is you're going to take just a little bit of Mod Podge. So, I took the matte Mod Podge. You could also use gloss if you'd like. I prefer the matte because I like that it mutes down that gloss that's already on the glass. And just put a nice thin layer on the glass. It dries really fast, and it's just going to give you some texture to the glass so that it's not 100% see-through. And then, and now I'm going to be painting the lantern. So I chose just to do white all over. I took some, I think it's called antique white. I don't know. It's an apple barrel paint. Walmart sells it 50 cents a little bottle, and I paint the entire frame that color. So make sure that when you're painting this, you're painting all of your edges, the interior of where your glass is going to be, so that this way here you have a nice finished look. Looking back at this too, I wish I would have painted the inside of the lantern as well, just to kind of give it more of that high-end finished look. And the other thing too with these picture frames, for some reason, Dollar Tree really put those like black metal things that hold the picture and the inserts together. Like I could not get these things out. So they stayed in there, and I just flattened them down to the pieces of wood as much as I could. So that's what I chose to do so far with this lantern. While my lantern was drying, I then go ahead and go back to my pieces of glass. Since they are dry, I picked up this stencil from the Dollar Tree. It has like wreaths and then little sayings in it that say, be brave, be kind, be happy, be you. And since I had 4 pieces of glass, I stenciled each one of those into the center of the pieces of glass. And for some reason, my camera did not record this. So I apologize. You guys don't get to see me actually putting the stencil on the glass. But all I did was I just took it and I used Waverly's chalk paint in the color Elephant to stamp that on to my pieces of glass. When I was inserting the glass into this lantern, all I did was I took hot glue onto each corner of the glass and just a small little dot, and then pressed it into place. You don't need a lot of hot glue. It's just a light piece of glass that's going to be held in there. Once all the glass was in, then what I'm doing is I'm taking this little tool that I got from the Dollar Tree, and any glue that came out on the front side that's very noticeable, I'm basically just picking it off. I don't know what this tool's called, but it has these 2 metal bars on each end. One is smaller than the other, and then it has like a tiny little ball. I think it's to pick up jewels and stuff like that with. But that's not what I use it for. I use it for this actually on all of my projects if I have glue anywhere. So if you guys know what it's called, let me know in the comments down below. But to finish this off, I just took a candle that I got from the Dollar Tree just to show you what it looks like before the end, where I stage everything so that you guys can see what it looks like. But leave down in the comments below what you thought about this end project. Are you going to try to recreate it? because I'd love to see it. And here are all 3 projects staged for you. Let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I think mine personally is the sign with the mason jars. I think it turned out wonderful, and I don't think anybody would think that it came from like Dollar Tree products. So if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Rose. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you're new here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to click that notification bell for all my future uploads. I do try to upload every Friday, and yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your support. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and be safe, and I will see you guys next Friday with some more farmhouse themed DIY shabby chic. In the comments below, if there's something that you want me to go ahead and make based off of a certain, I don't know, whatever, let me know as well, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye.